Everybody, this is DayTraderRockStar, and this is the high probability watch list for the week of
ES Tradeometer oversold.
June 4th. A couple things. Pretty interesting day. We're watching the ASCO conference, a couple stocks that we're watching going into it. LOXO here, I took a small position. I just added to it. I just posted in the room. And I'm going to hold this one over the weekend. And I just typed this, I typed my reasons in the room why I'm holding it. I expect this to actually run. I want to put it on the screen as I'm doing the watch list here, but you can see that the market has been drifting here, just coming into the last hour, off the highs, and just a nice little pullback. But you can see how strong this is into the close. So for me, I expect this to see some buyers come in, take out 86, and probably run to 90. So hopefully we'll already be in a good profit zone by the end of the day. But I'm going to hold this one into the weekend and look for a gap up on Monday. Again, higher risk whenever you do that. And just something I've done. We've taken these type of trades the last year, and they worked out good. So I'm going to take a gamble on this one. The Vero is also presenting. It was up to 210. The 210 seems to be a good area of resistance, and we haven't gotten through there yet. So that's an important level. There was some news on Harley Davidson. We'll go over that in a second. They're scared of the tariffs coming out of Europe and retaliation for our tariffs, and that's going to hit the motorcycles. So Harley Davidson was selling off today. So let's jump into it. It's gonna, I've been doing my scans all day. Haven't been really trading other than picking up some small stuff like the LOXO, and what else did we do this morning? Did we do anything? I picked up some CHK, added to my calls on that, and bought some BMY. And these are kind of plays into the ASCO. The BMY is also going to present on Monday evening. So if anything, they might pop Tuesday. But I have options on that going out to July, monthly Julys, the 5250s at 179. And that seems to be trading right around that level. So it's kind of an interesting play there. They seem pretty cheap. And the CHKs, again, that thing. So a couple of new positions today. And we're going to go over the HPS watch list. If I don't see anything, we'll start off with a little market recap and kind of a market radar. And the market radar really consists of going back, looking at the S&P, cash, looking at some of the other indexes, and see if there's anything that really brings our attention to a move. Now, this is the big picture, the daily chart. The bigger picture is the weekly, but the big picture gives us that overall market pullback, the divergence, looking for an upside, the pullback, divergence, looking for upside, pullback, divergence, looking for upside, sideways consolidation, everything looking pretty good, considering what's been going on in Italy, in Germany, Korea, back and forth. The market's actually doing a great job of holding up here. A great job of holding up here. So, with that being said, that has to be seen as a bullish indicator in itself. Relative strength, absorbing the news, climbing a wall of worry. Call it what you will. It is holding up pretty good. The 60-minute time frame rotated down yesterday perfectly, gapped up today, and now it's kind of extended. And we could see a continued ramp up here with a gap up and an embedded stochastic. So it's not something that we're going to try to time on the way back. We're already starting to get a little pullback, and this is a perfect place for a pullback. I mean, our bias is now to the downside as this rotation happens faster than the daily, but longer than the 5. So, this could hold up here a bit, but overall it looks like we're getting a little tired on this last move. And the 5-minute chart, well, you can see we gapped up, we held up pretty good most of the day. We're pulling back now one last time into an oversold level. Now the question is, do we sell off here, get down to that VWAP, which is right underneath us, and see how that plays out. The previous high is always a good level. I have all these lines on my chart: previous high, the high, previous low, opening, resistance lines, the VWAP, moving averages, and etc. All help us determine levels of support and resistance. All right, so let's start off here. All right, well, we just got a stop alert here on the Smuckers. Smuckers S. What do I have here? SJM here pulled back here. with a stop at 106. It just, and again, this is an important thing. This wedge pattern was not my favorite wedge. I wanted to see if we could actually get a divergence wedge in this. It's a little steep for a wedge, a little narrow, and as you can see, we didn't really get through that thing. We rotated back down, just touched that stop line right now. So officially, it is stopped out. Just checking on the show here, and look at the perfect channel that's developed. Paul marking out all the tradeometers. Great channel and trend line work by Paul today. And I just noticed here again a perfect tradeometer signal right there on the lower trend. That's an HPS type of. This is what you stick around for. That setup, this setup, that setup. I mean, they're perfect. This setup here, even this setup and this setup, they all worked out for you. The tradeometer is a beast. A beast. All right, let's see here. So, yeah, I was just looking up something here. So on the SJM here, going back to the SJM, I have that one call. I only took one call into that. I wasn't a big fan of the pattern, so I only bought one call, and it's not a big deal. So we'll let that play out. But right now, not really that interested. I don't like that downward wedge pattern so steep the way it's showing up here. I'm going to give you a different look at it. A lot of things moving around here. Got a lot of alerts. SJM. And that's the 5 minute here. Take a look at the daily. And again, yeah, lower trend line. Yeah, not liking this at all. Not liking it at all. So I'm going to move on from that. Call it a wrap. All right, next setup here is Stanley Black & Decker. And you can see there was a 3-day consolidation, and we didn't want to, the important thing to kind of keep us out of trouble on a market that's going through some news items and stuff. And if you got a nice push, there was two entries here. We had an entry here, and we took profits on it, and we were looking for a little pullback. We got the pullback, and we wanted to see if this turned into a flag, we hold the 20-period moving average and start moving up off of this. In this case, we did not do that, so it's not active yet. If we click on an arrow, you could actually see that next day we actually gapped down and moved down. Now I had another green line down here. Don't have to worry about the stop because the trade is not active. It's only active if we go through our buy trigger. But there's another line down here which I actually got back into on that last pullback, and we're chopping around it now. I want to take a look at this stock in a different light. SWK here, and you can see there's a decent downward channel. Yeah, I don't mind the pullback as much. We're starting to hold that 20 line. It's not a real divergence. And again, I'd still say that 3-day high up here probably is going to be one of the better buy signals on that. So we're going to keep it active right now and keep that like that. I probably will take that trade if we do get to that level. This is a good, definitely want to take that trade if we get to that level. Might even want to look at that big candlestick at 144 and take a look at that. If that gets taken out to the upside, maybe an early entry there. So that's still active. Now here was the BLL, and it was a lower trend line, rising trend line. X marks the spot type of zone down here. Possible buy zone if it moves there first. In either case, when we have that, let's take a look at how this thing is shaping up. You can see exactly what happened. We triggered this buy zone, and then we pulled back into the buy zone down here. So, I think the worst case scenario we talked about is if it did rotate back down to the lower trend line, we have to consider that. I'm still holding this. I have 100 shares of it. I'm down about $1.50 on it. And, but I wanted to give it this shot. I already had it planned out that we'd be watching it at this point. And this is where we are right now, 36.76, I think was the closing price. And we're right on that, pretty much right on that lower trend line. Now I wanted to give you a different look at this, too. I think you'll see something a little bit different. Well, actually, let me go to BLL. Yeah, here's that lower trend line. I don't have that rising trend line on us. But the one thing we want to see is that daily is now oversold again, which I like. We did have a little divergence here, but there's no divergence now kicking in. If we do have one, well, that's going to be a big level in itself. It's kind of a little gap down, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go into a 5 to 7 day pullback, slight 60 minute. So I'm going to give this a shot on Monday, see if we actually bounce. It is, it's blah, nothing that exciting on it. But I am still holding it as we are holding into the, and again, what we call the X marks the spot zone. I always refer back to the chart here and the video, because that tells us really, the potential here. We did have a little pop. It did trigger it. It did pull back. It did hit its stop, but it's also hit its, I said if it hits its stop, we also have to consider another trade down here. So I'm going to, just watch this going into next week. We start to lose this, I'll probably, and not put in a reversal candle. There's two big reversals here. Big reversal candle here. Big reversal candle here. Didn't get too much upside, but if we had another one, this is a quality name that I like to be able to take advantage on those reversals. But right now, not set up. It did officially stop out. I am officially holding it, and it'll probably come down to next Monday, Tuesday to see if we want to hold this trend line and start working back up on this. Now, I did put Johnson & Johnson. I have not been concentrated on it. I left it open here. It's almost a situation like we had. It was a 3-day consolidation, and we went into the market, and then the market got hit with some news. And, we just kind of drifted down. So a lot of these setups have not hit their buy triggers yet. This is actually still in a watching phase. The channel's there. But what's good about reviewing this, look at where we are now. Even though we never got back up here and tagged that buy trigger, look where we are. Lower trend line, very similar to the BLL. Lower portion of this channel. This actually looks quite nice here. And I want to look at this on a different chart. And it's not that I'm probably going to get into this one. But this is a there's the lower trend line. It looks like a little possible, well, not really a divergence, but it is holding that trend line, and it looks like an okay divergence. Now I've mapped out these daily divergence signals, and all of them except one has really moved on. This one right here kind of drifted low, but everything else here really popped after that divergence signal. I would wait for another one and take that approach on it. So still not active, and still has a way to go. Might even take that off just so you don't get confused with it. It's much better down here than it is up at the buy trigger. All right, next one up here, we have Campbell's Soup, and that also did not trigger. Kind of gapped down, and there was some news out there. I think there was some earning news, but they also said that the tariffs and the tariffs on steel and stuff were going to cause some problems with their cans. Anyway, awful chart here. I'm taking it off. It never did trigger our entry zone, and I picked up 50 shares before this, so I'm down on it. I just have a small amount, but I'm not that happy with the thing. I think I should just cut and run here on this, and then that's what we have to do. I was hoping for a little bounce reversal, but today kind of broke down to new lows. So I think early next week I'll get rid of my 50 shares and put it into something that's working right. So this was a horrible setup going into earnings, and again, actually getting affected by the about the tariff news. Now, the one interesting thing about this is we're on a lower trend line, a lower 1, 2, 3 channel line. But you know what? There's better stocks to be, to be had out there. Better stocks to be had. The Harley-Davidson, same thing, came out with saying that their earning, or they could be affected by tariffs. Now we'll see what happens here. Little bounce on it, but I'm not too excited about it. These have been stocks that, I'd rather get into a bullish stock on a pullback versus trying to capture a bottom on some of these. But these were divergences that pulled. Now these are the first pullbacks, and it just happened to be, catching some tariff news on a couple of these. It's just, a tough break on this. Harley-Davidson. Again, I'm down about 2 points. I went in on this around 42. I added to it. So I got my cost average around 42. It's at 40.67. Love to see this push back up. We're oversold, but again, another one that's just not really performing, and not impressed with it at all. Here we have Hershey's, and Hershey's not a bad. We had a nice little pop. Didn't get up to our profit zone. I think we did take some profits into this. So I did like that pop, and we took advantage of it. Now it's kind of just rotating down. It's still active, but again, a stock that's not 100% set up. Let's take a look at the HRS or HS. Excuse me, HSY. And here's that downward channel line. The rotation is back. Is there a double bottom here? We're probably in the right zone, especially on a 1-2-3 channel in the lower portion of the channel. These 1-2-3 channels usually bottom out on divergences or double bottoms. So again, next Monday, Tuesday will be a pivotal area here. If we start to move back up, there's a good shot that this trend line will be the next one that's being taken out. But that'll come around on Monday. So let's get away from those bottom pickers. Look at some strong stocks going forward. Now we mentioned the LOXO. That's kind of a speculative buy into the week and holding that. I ended up picking up some Bristol Myers BMY today. And again, there's no HPS setup here, but I want to keep you updated on that. And they're going to be coming out with their presentation on Monday. So I bought a little of this going out. I posted that. Three calls, July 20s, 52.50 calls at $1.79. It's 53.13. So we're already, in the money. This is up, not a lot up, but it looks pretty good. And then, tell you the truth, I like the Goldman Sachs here. Goldman Sachs showing up as a divergent setup. We have a 1-2-3 kind of 4-day pullback, and we start to see a divergent signal showing up. And now they came out yesterday, I think it was yesterday, came out saying that their trading revenue is already, for the first 4 months, have already succeeded 2017's certain type of trading revenue. I forget what it was. But it just seemed like really good news. So, it seems to be hanging in there. Not an HPS, but there is the argument for an oversold wedge pattern, 200 period moving average. This is also, if you look at this like this, it was kind of 1-2-3 channel. We zoom out here like this into a kind of a better channel. Whenever we have a 1-2, and you can see this it's a pretty perfect channel. Whenever you have a really good 1-2-3 pivots, and that 200 period moving average comes underneath us, underneath the price like this, is what we call a 200 EMA channel line bounce. We'd like to see it here. It's hard to put together. You have to really, be studying these charts a lot. I do bring them to you. I do bring them to you when I see them. But this was a good example. If we look back at this stock, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 pivots with a 200 period moving average underneath us, cutting right through the channel. You draw those parallel lines down, and when you have a 200 period moving average cutting a downward channel line like this, when you break down to that 200, that lower trend line becomes an absolutely amazing buy zone. And as you can see, we tagged it probably to the nickel. And a nice little bounce up to the 200. This one performed just as expected when we talk about a 200 EMA breakdown channel line bounce, pushes back up to the 200 and back down. It looks like a buy here. We're oversold. It doesn't get oversold too much. Goldman Sachs looking pretty good on this pullback. So I do like this one going into next week. All right, back here with you. MKC McCormick. We're going to call this a 200 EMA breakdown channel line bounce. I have a 98.90 to 98.80 area to watch on this, and possibly even a double bottom. Well, I would say just watch that lower trend line. It actually brings us down to January lows. I think that's a nice setup right there. Back here on the watch list, and we're going over some of the HPS sets that haven't triggered yet, and some of them, kind of drifted lower. We actually had a Corning upgrade this week, which gives us a almost a triple bottom here. Nice follow through today. Gap up yesterday. Nice follow through today. Target's 28. Looks pretty good here. Yeah, so the coin here looking good, but it's not an HPS setup. But we did put it out there as a midweek update with a target of 28, and the upgrade that looks pretty good. Now there has been a lot of stocks that have just kind of drifted here. The Harley Davidson went over that, not liking it anymore. But the KHC and the Procter Gamble, they're acting better. The target 61 on the KHC. Holding right on that 20-period moving average. Procter Gamble PG, same thing. Sideways, not much action this week. Basically closing where we left off. So it all comes out to next week. These are still basing, but not nothing fantastic on those. Now, IQ, we talk about some great-looking stocks here. IQ is a monster in the making, which I do believe that LOXO is going to be that stock on Monday that gaps up to $200. We're going to take that off. Talked about that other one. This Apron here, Apron is APRN here, still grinding higher. That last pullback on Apron was a nice one. It got down to 230, and then back up here to almost 330. I mean, that's a pretty decent move, and it's pushing back up. I know Deep Throat is in this one. Another one that looks good, and I added to it today, is CHK, and I like this one to get to $5. And we picked up some calls on this, 10 calls going out to July 20 monthly calls, 450s, 46 cents. So, just looking for this to break through $5 and get some action going on this. I like it, going out to July. I have a whole month. It looked like we had some volume coming into it today. Popped and then it kind of just drifted there. Oh, actually in the morning here. I mean the afternoon, this is where we had that nice little rip here. They got up to 460. Things were looking good, and it pulled back a bit. Let me record this now. I'm going back on the ADM here. I was just discussing that we're on that that rising trend line, but there is a perfect 1, 2, 3, 200 EMA channel line breakdown. Early in this video, I discussed a picture perfect one and showed you how it reacts and how everything works well with that. So this could be another opportunity. I'm going to have to write it down. I like writing these down just so I don't lose track of them if they're going to end up being this type of setup. They're not set up 100% yet, but if they do break down through that 200 and get to that lower trend line, I want to be all over that. So I mark these down. I have a little box I put on them. All right. The BL Campbell Soup. So Harley Davidson, like it, don't like it. The Veru, loving it. Corning, like it. Right around break even on that, but still like that. The Procter Gamble got a bounce, still holding it because I was underwater on this. And today, the last 2 days, we kind of pulled back a little bit. We had what a nice bounce we had from May, all of May. Just a slow grind back up. Now this is kind of a retracement trend line. So really want to hold this and start turning back up next week on these. And the WBT, a slow mover. Double buy signal down here. We move out of it up to the 200. We pull back. First pull back. It hasn't got a follow through. Today was okay. Closed near the highs of the session. Again, slow stock, slow mover. Throw a rocket ship in there. Square looking pretty damn good. SQ. So surround yourself with these positive stocks, the Squares of the world, the Netflixes of the world, and the Nvidias of the world. The stocks are MasterCard, Visa, all looking good. MA popping. I mean, this is just simple being on board. If you like the market going higher, you take the leaders. Visa, same thing, very good. Netflix, NFLX, oh, not NFLZ. Again, at the highs, looks good. Now, a lot of these FANG stocks are heavily weighted in some of the averages, so we have to, always keep our ear to the ground here and here for any rumblings of something not working out on one of these, because any of these can move the market, especially when we talk about Apple, Google. Apple here flagging out and now starting to move up here. All very bullish. All very bullish, and actually going into the first day of June, it's actually, you would look at this and they're not seeing sell in May and go away. You see, May is past us. We consolidated in May and we're moving higher. At least that's on Apple. And where Apple goes, the market's going to go. So look at the same exact pattern here, except we're starting to move out of it. So that's not bad. Not bad. We're not at the highs, which is concerning. You're not taking out the highs, but you're definitely moving aggressively with a stock like Apple, Netflix, Google. Probably Google is one of my favorites. Big pop in Google. Yesterday I said that 1100 is going to be an easy target. It's 1119 now. All right, so that's again Google. Love it. Another one, which it seems like a very slow week for me, because I, got into a couple of these, like the Altrio off at this thing, and you can see that we are slowly just grinding sideways. Nothing too exciting here, and in some ways, this is actually a negative divergence. We have this kind of a sideways trend, and the market moves from oversold to overbought, and then typically, if we don't get a real good move relative to that move, when it starts to roll over, we see more of the downside pressure comes in. So a little concerning on the Altria. We're basically flat on that. The AVGR, we went over the PRPO. Again, those are some cheaper stocks that I'm just, they're lottery tickets. And the other one here at Ball, I decided, to kind of hold into it over the weekend. I do like this lower trend line. Thought we'd have a better bounce. I want to consider this a 5 to 7 day pullback. So I'd say Monday, Tuesday, we're going to start heading back up on this, and I think this is actually going to work out fine. It's just our very tight stop on this on the HPS is a little too aggressive. I would wait for a clear turn back up, clear break of the previous high. So in this case, 3720 should be your target or trigger to get in here. 3720. 3720 BLL. 3720. And I want to put that, I want to write that down. We're not going to put that on the HPS right now, but I want to add it to my list here. I want to show you some other things on this. So here's your BLL. So I want to right click that. I want to bring up my alerts. Add alert. And price above. What was the number I wanted? 3720. Apply notification. I'm going to play sound. That's the problem. I got to figure out what sound I'm going to play. Put this one on. This will be the alert. If you hear this, that means probably going to take a bigger position in BLL. If you hear this alert.
Will in Texas. Will!
Ramming the bush, booyah to you, Kramer from Houston.
Oh, I like that, man. Houston, a lot of good companies there. What's going on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With the Japanese Nikkei down more than 8% year to date, you see the upside in ticker symbol EWJ.
You know what? I don't want to go there. I've kind of become chastised about some of these foreign markets.
Oh, there it is. So, oh no, you'll know. Kramer alert, BLL. Just because I'm lazy and I don't want to make a new alert. All right. What do we have next here? Vero here, Maltria. Nothing really big other than the strong stocks are going to continue to be strong, it looks like. And I do like that Goldman. GS. Liking the Goldman. Oh, this was the textbook 200 EMA breakdown, channel line bounce. So again, 1, 2, 3, 200 comes through the channel. We break down through the 200, down to lower trend line, reversal candle. Absolutely fantastic. One of the best trades, probably right up there with one of the best setups on the HPS playlist, which is our top 10 go-to trade setups. This is right up there in the top 3. Divergence number 1 will be number 2. Probably lower trend line bound. This would be part of number 2. There's a lot of number 2s that we look at. Most of them require us to, have a rising trend line or an X marks the spot, but it all lines up like this. This is a good setup back here. Now we can get that one more time. I don't think we are. I think this is going to be a 5 to 7 day pullback. I think we're already starting to head back up on Goldman. Morgan Stanley MS. Same thing, lower trend line, 200 period moving average, big channel. These are all lined up the same. Now, we have 2 good pivot areas here, right here and here. All you have to do is to grab that line, make it parallel trend line, drag it, make it work. You'll see it. There it is. And then you have, try to use the closing lows. It's probably perfect. I mean, it's amazing how the market is perfectly adapted to finding these channels, and this is where we are right here. So again, that's Morgan Stanley MS. I keep on seeing SeaWorld on me. Remember, I took it off. It was one of my best bets for the year. January. Look at January. It's still pushing higher. At the bottom at $10, it's almost a double. Expected this one to get taken out. We did take it out. We took it off on the gap up back here. I forget where it was. But we had a nice profit on it in the 16s. Now it's 18. It still looks super strong. But we did get the buyout on Verifone, PAY, which is no longer a symbol. And there it is, way up there. So, I mean, that was a good one. And then I think I had one more. Well, the Vero is going to be one of our big plays of the year. We could get through that 210 level. Again, that's a little bit more higher risk. Doesn't get labeled as an HPS, but it definitely gets attention here. The one thing I will say is I'm not seeing as much as I'd like to see going into next week. I still think that these consumer products, the Procter & Gamble, are due for a bigger bounce. PG had that little pullback. We're on that retracement trend line. But these haven't been working out. I'm not going to argue with that. These things are based out, but they're not giving us big V bottoms. They're not giving us anything really exciting. 61 on the target on that. Not up there yet. But they are in my focus. The same thing as Smucker's SJM. Had a nice little bounce earlier today and then gave it all back. And again, not liking this wedge pattern. Too tight, too narrow of a wedge pattern. Not a good specimen. So going forward, loving the Google, loving the Goldman Sachs as a pullback. Google as a strength play and pushing higher. We do have AAPL here breaking out of a slight downward trend, about to take out the highs. I heard that Samsung is announcing they're going to unveil a product. Typically, these companies do it around the same time, Samsung and Apple. So I don't know if Apple's going to come out with some kind of announcement of a product. That probably will be a catalyst for this stock. We get people talking, because I just don't remember the last time they came out with anything exciting. So we're overdue on that. And the market here probably... oh, I wish You know, that's just something we're going to have to be in, I guess, if you're going to catch that news. And just to finish up, I am kind of have some cheaper stocks that are not on the HBS, but I do have the BMY. Looking for maybe a pop into that conference on Monday, the LOXO, and I have Illumina, ILM, well, whatever that is, Illumina, MN. And that's breaking out here. And I'm hearing some good chatter out there on the biotechs going into next week. So I do like this one. And also I have a little, I have one contract of the, I don't even know what the name of the company is. It's not even a biotech, but it's a, the Zebra, ZBRA. And it's just because it was so strong, I wanted to see if we get a little pop on that. But right now it looks like almost a double top divergence to the downside. So I'll be a little careful on this. But I have some time, and I only have one contract. Not an HPS setup, just kind of filling you in on everything right now. And that's it. But I'm going to put another video out. I got a member's request for a little market radar going into the month of June and July. And we'll break down the market. We'll break down multiple markets, and we'll see what we could see and what's out there and the potential. So let me get working on that. I'll send this one out, but look for that secondary video. It's going to be called Market Radar, Sell in May. What sell in May? Question mark. What does the charts tell us? All right, something like that. All right. See you in the markets.